Connor, why did John Mara and ownership ultimately decide that the time was now to give Daboll the pink slip?
It was twofold, Eamon. If you look at the on-field product, those fourth quarter collapses, they're just, it's hard to recover from that. 4 times this season, the Giants have blown double-digit leads. You saw that 19-point lead evaporate in the game against the Broncos. This 10-point lead evaporate in the loss to the Bears. And even the collapse late down the stretch against the Dallas Cowboys, where it finally looked like the Giants were going to get over the hump and beat their bitter division rival. So that certainly played a role, and also the usage of Jackson Dart. We've stressed to Daboll, dating back to training camp in the preseason, that the way that Dart was playing, the reckless play style, was not going to lead to him consistently staying on the field. It was not sustainable for a quarterback of his size, only 220 pounds. Daboll was defiant in that, almost stressing time and time again that he didn't want to, quote, coach out Jackson Dart's aggressiveness. And there was absolutely no attempts from him or the coaching staff to even adjust his play style to protect himself while also nurturing that aggressiveness. So when the quarterback runs kept getting called, and then ultimately it led to Dart going down with a concussion, the 4th time, Eamon, that he's been checked for a concussion, it became clear that the agenda of the coaching staff wasn't necessarily having their quarterback's best interests at heart. It was about win and do whatever you could win for self-preservation. So that, coupled with the collapses, the Giants decided to make a change.
So when the news broke on Monday, you reported on X that Joe Schoen's seat was not hot. And then in a statement, John Mara said that Schoen will be actively involved in hiring the next coach. So Daboll goes, Schoen is safe. Can you explain that to me like I'm in kindergarten?
That's a good plug to listen to what we're saying here on SNY, and follow us on SNY.TV and read everything that we're saying about the Giants and Jets, because maybe we know a little something or two. But no, Eamon, the way that the Giants evaluate the roster right now, and we can argue if this is correct, we can argue if this is incorrect, but it doesn't really matter because it's how they view things internally. They look at this roster and do not believe that it's a problem. They look at the roster and believe that it is significantly improved from the run that Joe Schoen took over. They believe that the fourth quarter leads the Giants have built are an example of what the roster is capable of. And the fact that they lost all of those fourth quarter leads is a sign that they did not have the right coaching staff on the sideline to get them over the hump to win these football games. Again, we can argue if that's the right philosophy. You can certainly point towards the signings Joe Schoen has made, some of his draft picks as the wrong decisions in those regards, but that's how the Giants view this internally. They think they have something in Schoen. They still view him in a very, very high regard, so they're sticking with him and letting him pick and engineer this search for their next coach.
Yeah, and as you said, that could be argued for a while, and it will be. Now, all right, let's pick up the pace on this one. Of course, the names of potential candidates are already out there, but Connor, if this franchise wasn't 35 miles away from Florham Park, New Jersey, how viable a candidate would Robert Saleh be?
I don't hate it. I think Saleh got a raw deal with the Jets. And if you think about a potential pairing of him and Mike McDaniel, who's almost assuredly going to get fired in Miami, as that's your head coach, that's your offensive coordinator, I kind of like that pairing a little bit. But I'll throw another one at you, Eamon, because I do think that it's highly, highly unlikely that Robert Saleh gets this Giants job. In fact, when the position was open before, the Giants never even considered Daboll. How about Mike LaFleur, the old offensive coordinator of the Jets, who had success with basically every other quarterback they had with the exception of Zach Wilson? He's been studying underneath Sean McVay in L.A., has really helped bring out even better football from Matt Stafford, learned a bit in that coaching tree, already coming off of Shanahan. You know who his brother is in Matt. There's a lot of people around the league who really value Mike LaFleur, where it wouldn't surprise me to see him get a look and maybe a second from the Giants, and I wouldn't hate that hiring.
We are now joined by Jon Alba and Jon Jastremski. JJ, you said on Sunday on Honda SportsNite that they had to fire Daboll. Why was this a no-brainer?
It's pretty simple. When you have the 3 meltdowns the Giants had throughout this regular season, and you combine it with Brian Daboll's record over the last 3 years, this is New York City. It's a results-oriented business. You're in the NFL. You don't get the opportunity to overcome not 1, not 2, but 3, 2, and 8 starts. Nobody survives that, John.
It's the frustration that has built up with the fan base over this last decade really coming to a hold here. I want to go back to the point you made before about how this was a move you could have made during the offseason. You could have set yourself up on a different path this season with some new personnel coming in. Instead, it's another wasted season. it's really hard to sell the Giants fan base on stick it out. We're going to give it another go with another new regime here. It's a really tough pill to swallow.
But, John, it's not an entirely new regime because Joe Schoen gets to stay. So you get to play Joe Schoen right now. Who are you looking for to be the next coach?
I want to go with someone who at least has had a head coaching job before, if at all possible. A name like Vance Joseph, who we see this year has done an excellent job with Denver defensively bringing pressure. Maybe he can get more out of what the Giants unit has there. Steve Spagnuolo is going to be a name that's going to come up just because every coaching cycle that comes around, he's got the equity in New York City. Mike McCarthy's name is going to come up. I just want to make sure that we're seeing someone who has some head coaching experience. We're not taking another shot on a first-year coordinator who's making that next step up. That's really important in my opinion, JJ.
I'm going to give you two guys. One who I brought up going back to last year with the New York Jets. That's Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings.
A lot of baggage
now,
there.
Listen, a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to happen, but this strikes me as someone who can learn from his mistakes that he made with the Miami Dolphins. He will fix the Giant defense in 5 seconds and is a New York guy through and through, so he knows what he's walking into when it comes to the market. The other name I'm going to throw at you is someone without head coaching experience, but I think he's ready for the opportunity. Anarumo.
I knew it was coming. I got it here.
Unbelievable work with the Indianapolis Colts defense. And this is a guy who has paid his dues in the NFL. There's something to be said for that, and he has the quarterback in Dart. Anarumo or Flores, and maybe the New Yorker in me is showing out right now because I'm repping Brooklyn and Staten Island. But you know what? Give me a New Yorker coaching the Giants.